How long have you known him?
Since 2021.
2021. Did you work at the public administrator's office?
I did.
When did you begin work there?
May of 21.
He hired you.
He did.
When you began your employ at the public administrator's office, how many employees were there?
I think our group may have been 9.
And what was the environment like when you began?
Well, I'll just start with Rob, and it was very inviting. He was gave me a day one tour of the office, kind of a lay of what we'd be doing, and a little bit about how the office was ran. Introduced me to the staff, which included the lead.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Okay. That included the lead, which was the, I forget what the title was, but she was basically the primary not investigator, but the primary, I'm so sorry. She was the person kind of over our group. And then there was the assistant public administrator and investigators, kind of a woman that ran the shop, so to speak. And then there was another couple of people across the street that warehouse people. So over the first couple of days, that's kind of how he introduced me to the department.
And what was the general location of the public administrator's office?
It's across the street from Valley and UMC Hospital. I forget the address, I'm sorry.
Okay, then you're not being asked to recall that. What was your position at the public administrator's office?
Probate administrator.
And what did your duties include to be the probate administrator?
So I was responsible for what I would call my book of work assigned by Rob, and it involved receiving cases of decedents, people who passed away in the county, and basically handling their estates. Most of our decedents' families were either not reached immediately or didn't have the capacity to handle a probate themselves.
Okay.
So we had small estate probates that would kind of entail a nominal bank account, a couple of $1,000s, and no real property. And then we had some of the larger cases that involved real property and businesses and other assets that needed to be dissolved.
Did you work at the office full time?
I did.
Did there come a point in time where there was news of articles, talk of articles coming out that were authored by Jeff German?
Probably about a year into my tenure there.
Okay. Would that have been about May 2022?
Approximately.
After the first of these series, and are you aware that there were 4 articles?
I am.
After these articles began to be published or to be known in the office, did you observe any expression of anger from Mr. Tellis?
No.
Was it fair to say that it was business as usual from the time that you started up until and through that time?
As far as business is concerned, absolutely.
Okay, and then you're getting to my next question. Did there appear to be a divide upon in the office once you started working there?
Yes.
And what was this divide? You said immediately. Please continue.
Correct. So I don't know at what point I brought it to Rob's attention, but I definitely felt a lot of tension in the office and kind of on my own, other than the training that I was receiving from Rob, some coaching or just kind words from one of the other administrators. But the majority of the staff was upset that it seemed as if they were upset that I was there. And I had to go back as in discussions with my husband and recall, like, we were coming out of COVID, and I started thinking, I was like, did I interview, not in person? I knew that part of it. But I said, wasn't I on camera on Zoom? And because I remember there was some technical difficulties. So I don't remember whether or not the cameras were completely working. I do remember having seen the majority of the people on the panel, but I don't really know that they saw me. And so I kind of immediately within the first month felt like now I'm here and they see me, a little bit taken back by whom he had hired.
Okay, when you say whom, you're talking about Robert Tellis.
Yes.
Did there ever come a point in time where you were told basically you had to choose sides?
Yes. Pretty early on, one of the administrators, Alicia.
Objection, hearsay.
Her identity? I mean,
You're just going to ask her who it was?
Yes.
Okay, you can ask her.
Was it Alicia Goodwin?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And not without getting into what she said, but basically this idea you felt like you had to take sides.
Yes.
And the sides would either be on the side of Alicia Goodwin and others or Robert Tellis?
Correct.
Did that cause stress to you?
It did.
How did it impact you?
I just felt uncomfortable choosing between, I had been a supervisor before, so I felt uncomfortable choosing the staff members over my supervisor. I didn't have enough information to make a decision on one side or the other. I just wanted to do the work.
Understood.
And it just became increasingly harder to do the work because I refused to choose.
And did it appear that your desire to do the work matched that of Robert Tellis's desires?
Yes.
Just to do the work.
Correct.
Now, in order to avoid hearsay or to draw objections, in reference to this pick sides, we had Mr. Tellis on one side, we had Miss Goodwin on the other. Who else was on this other side?
Rita Reed, Noreen, and I apologize, I don't want to butcher her last name. Jessica, at some point, joined that side. She wasn't there initially. Initially, she was kind of helpful when I would have property come into the warehouse. One person who was day one was, I think her name was Janie, sorry. And she was the office admin, but she was day one nasty.
And was it after your understanding that there was a desire that you should pick sides, did these articles then that were authored by Jeff German follow this?
Months later.
Months later. And you would testify that after these articles came out, you didn't see Mr. Tellis angry.
I did not.
You didn't see him throwing things, slamming things as a result of these articles, or anything else for that matter.
I did not.
Did he ever act hostile towards yourself or any other people?
No.
As part of your duties, did you ever go with Mr. Tellis to estates that were being overseen by the Public Administrator's Office?
I did.
And if you could please describe for us what this entailed. What did you do with him?
So most of the time, it would involve real property. And so we would meet with the brokers assigned to, that had been charged with selling the property, or someone who was going to do a soft or even harder than a soft renovation. So we would meet at the property most of the time because I didn't have access to a county car. We would ride together, and then we would get out and we'd kind of walk through the property. We've already seen photos and such, so it wasn't long visits. It was just pretty quick. Mr. Tellis, or Rob, as I called him, was pretty familiar with what he wanted, what would generally be accepted by families as far as the level of work that would be done. And sometimes they wouldn't be in a condition where you could stay in there very long. Some of the real property had decedents, unfortunately, who passed away in the homes. So it wasn't something that you would feel comfortable staying long periods of time in.
So what you're saying is some of these properties were in a fair amount of disrepair. They weren't kept.
Either that is correct, or just the smell. Sometimes you have the smell from, decaying human waste.
Human waste.
Yeah.
So if I understand your testimony, these homes or these structures would be unoccupied with homeless people coming into them, things like that?
No, not so much that they had been squatted on. Just someone, it's a pretty common phenomenon for someone elderly to pass away in a recliner.
Now I understand.
We come in, even though the person is gone, that recliner with human waste on it is still there. The smell from it or the stench from it is still in the home on these initial visits.
Now these homes, generally the person that would pass, they didn't have a will, they died, I think the legal term is intestate.
Correct.
And there was a desire by yourself to prepare these homes and to move them so the heirs could receive monies from the passing of a loved one.
That was the absolute intent.
And did you share this absolute intent with Robert Tellis?
I did. I learned it from him.
About how many of these home sites did you walk with Rob Tellis?
I would say at the time that I left, I had done maybe 30 to 40 cases, and I would say about half of those had real property attached to them.
Okay, so a substantial number.
Correct.
Over at least about a 1 year period or more?
Year and a half.
Were you familiar with his gait? The way he walked?
Pretty much.
If I could turn your attention to what's been admitted as State's Exhibit 338. May I publish this? I didn't break it.
Your Honor.
Not. It's not doing it. Not sure why.
I wanted to show you just a video clip, and we're trying to get it up on the overhead screen.
Just so pull that up and then hold it and slide it to the right. It's pretending as if the monitor to your right is connected to your computer. Hey, give me 1 second. So then,
So kind of on the.
You're welcome to.
yeah, I've never. So let's do it this way.
Magic. You're welcome. Hold on. Here. If you can. There you go.
Thank you very much. So you use that screen button.
No. So you'll have to use the mouse pad over there and move your. You'll have to watch that screen. It's like they're connected.
Here we go. All right. You've seen this clip, I'm assuming?
I have.
Okay, I'm going to play this for you. You testify that you're familiar with Rob Tellis's gait. the way he walks.
Yes,
Are you able to say that that's him?
I am not.
You don't look at that gate and go, that's Robert Tellis.
I haven't. I've looked at it before and I did not come to that conclusion.
Like I said, we're not getting into the substance of conversations, but did you know a gentleman by the name of Zach Schilling?
I did.
Who was he and what did he do?
He was a real estate agent. I'm not sure if he's an actual broker, but a real estate agent on a few of my cases.
Okay. Was there, fair to say, a falling out between him and Mr. Tellis?
I would say between him and myself, which I brought to Mr. Tellis's attention. I wasn't aware that it went further than, or if he had anything separate from me, but for sure, I brought some concerns to Mr. Tellis's attention.
And was that concerning the way in which he treated the property?
Personal property, yes.
Not, did you?
And some of the conversations he called me about and had.
Okay. And as a result of, let me ask you this, do you feel like he misused property or misappropriated property?
I feel like something went missing and he never gave an explanation for it.
And then you brought that to Mr. Tellis's attention.
I did.
And is it fair to say then that Mr. Schilling basically didn't have any more listings or he wasn't involved anymore concerning the moving of these estates to get the monies to the heirs?
I would say with, as far as the, at some point, the office kind of broke off from supervision. So I wasn't privy to what the other person's caseloads were. So I don't know if they were continuing to use him, but I know the people, let's say on our side, were not using him any longer.
And when you say your
And
side,
I hadn't seen him in the office, which is not common. If you're working on cases, you see the brokers quite often.